All right, so I just want to a little bit go off. There's a lot of I don't think when we started we realized that I don't think when I started this is on the topic, I realized we only have two shiurim between when we started and the sukkahs. So we had one and today, and then it's it, because next Sunday is Rosh Hashanah, and the next Sunday after that is Yom Kippur, I think. Right? So and then the next Sunday after that is Sukkot, and then Shmini Atzeres. So and last week we had the Archikala. So we kind of we only ended up having last week and 2 weeks ago and today. So I wanted to jump to a different chelik of the topic, which actually came up on Friday. Someone called me up with a shaila, and it's very negea to understand it, and maybe we'll try to go through better, which is the concept of a shutzvis with a guy. When you have in a business and you have a partnership with a non-Jew, and the partnership with the non-Jew, you want to structure it in a way that the business could stay open for Shabbos. Okay, so what concept? There's two concepts over there. There's two problems. Let's take, for example, what? There's okay, so there's more. There could be potentially more than that also. So the first question is that you're potentially making money. Let's say it's a retail store. Let's just keep it simple. You have retail. So you have retail store and it's going to stay open on Shabbos. Now, obviously, if you are able to, you should close your business on Shabbos. You don't have to keep open. But sometimes you have certain types of businesses that just doesn't make sense to go into the business in the first place if you're going to have to close on Shabbos, or it's not even possible. There's cases in, it's just not possible in certain cases that you have that with like nursing homes, let's say, and stuff like that, where obviously you can't close down the thing of Shabbos, and retail also. So I had a case in with a gas station. So it's like if you're not going to stay open, it's not shaykh really to close. When you close on Shabbos, the gas station, it's a hotel, right? So it's not possible to maintain the business model by staying closed. So what happens? So you go. Let's take this the way it's described in the Shulchan Aruch. The way it's described in the Shulchan Aruch is you have a partnership with a non-Jew, and what would you like to say? You tell the non-Jew. So what's the problem? So the problem, you tell the guy, look, I'm not showing up to work today. You keep working. We'll split the profits. Whatever. I'm sorry. I'm taking the day off. So now there's a couple problems over here. The problems are with keeping your business open on Shabbos, even before partnership, are we described last week. You have someone working for you on Shabbos. You're the owner. You're having employees in there. So A, the actual work that's being done, they're working for you. And B, the money that you're making on Shabbos from the store, especially retail, there's sales that are taking place on that day. See, this is where a hotel could be a little different because we discussed last week from Moshe Feinstein that interest accrues over 24 hours. So usually when you're charging someone on a hotel, it's not going to be that you're charging them exactly from Shkia to Shkia on Shabbos. Check-in is at 11, check-out or whatever. So they're usually checking in before and they're coming in after, and you're charging them for the whole day till Motzei Shabbos. So usually I'll tell you could maybe that part, but you're having people work for you. So there's two parts. And on a retail store, that's not like that. A guy came in and bought something, you're making money on that purchase right then and there. So you have the problem of Schar Shabbos, and you have the problem of someone working for you on Shabbos. Those are the main problems. So this is a Gemara of Avodah Zarah. The Gemara of Avodah Zarah says that you could set up a partnership with a non-Jew, and in the terms of the agreement, you could set up whatever you want. So the Gemara gives an eitzah. No one knows this eitzah, but the Gemara gives an eitzah. And the eitzah is that you set up the partnership with the guy in a way that you tell the guy that we're partners for 6 days of the week, for 5 days of the week, really. Monday through Friday, we're partners. We split profits, we split expenses, everything is shared. Saturday is completely yours. That means all the profits generated come from you. You could decide to close, you could decide to open. It's up to you. Shabbos is yours, Sunday is mine. And I get the profits of Sunday. And therefore, when the guy is working on Shabbos, A, he's not working for you. because it's his business on Shabbos. B, it's not a problem of making money on Shabbos because it's his money, it's not your money. So, and then you take Sunday, you work Sunday, and this is talking about a partnership where the partners are actually working. So, Sunday, you take Sunday, so you take Sunday, and you take the profits of Sunday. Now you may say, well, the profits of Shabbos are going to be a lot higher than the profits of Sunday, right? So first of all, in economy, I mean, so you're not supposed to get profits from Shabbos. So, in economy. But if you want to protect yourself from that, so what you could do is that now obviously, let's say in a retail scenario, he would have to reimburse you for your portion of the schara. You put in 50% of the initial investment, so the cost he would have to reimburse you because he's using 50% of your inventory. He can reimburse you, but the profit he has to keep. Now you could also put in a line, and the line would say that if the parties choose not to go into the accounting of this complicated cheshbon, because no one's sitting there at the end of the month and calculating, well, this was sold on Shabbos, this was sold here. You just, to do that would be an accounting nightmare, especially let's say it's in a service type of business, right? We had this case with, places that take calls, insurance, let's say, they send out, how do you know what business was generated on Shabbos, which business wasn't generated on Shabbos? It's very complicated. But it has to be a business that technically, or Moshe writes, it has to be a business which technically you could figure out. And then you could put in a clause and say the parties choose that if both parties agree not to act on their right to do the accounting, they agree to split it 50-50.
What about formulating services? Split by 50-50.
The profits.
Oh, Shabbat.
Shabbos and Sunday.
Oh.
Instead of figuring out what came in Shabbos, what came in Sunday, they agreed to split both profits 50-50. Not
have that problem
no, because that's just it. You're splitting the rest of the week 50-50. Sunday you take, Shabbos he takes. So you have to do the accounting on that.
Right, but it comes out nice, the same thing. It's distinct without a difference, because before I do that, I'm splitting everything 50-50.
Except for Shabbos and Sunday.
And now I'm putting a clause saying whatever comes in Shabbos, Sunday, I'm gonna split 50-50.
Right, exactly. So I mean everything we're gonna split 50-50.
So the whole week ends up with nice being 50-50.
Exactly. Right.
And
fine, so do that. It's fine.
right.
That's the point.
But not gonna really change me out.
I mean, exactly. Fine. I mean, it's the terms for Shabbos, right?
That's the word. But it doesn't change financial aspect.
Doesn't it does theoretically if the guy says, you know what, this week Black Friday fell on Shabbos, so I want to keep the profits from Shabbos this year, man, through the roof. No, you say both parties agree not to do the accounting, then they agree to take 50-50 instead of doing accounting. But he could demand and say, no, I want to do the accounting this month. You have to allow him the option. Now, the likelihood that he's going to utilize that is very unlikely because it's probably more expensive to do the accounting than to figure, but he has a choice.
Farming out through services international, let's say, you go to insurance.
So you want to know, right, that's complicated. I have to look into that. We had that trial last year. We had it actually with Jews because people were hiring people in Israel and they were working on second day of Yom Tov. Huh? But I'm saying, I don't remember. Does it go by the owner of the business or the people doing the work? Not sure.
Why does it make a difference if it's 50-50, 70-30, who has more, who has less? Doesn't make a difference. Even if the Jew is 99%. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so then you do it with the 1%.
I'm saying it doesn't make a difference.
That's what I'm going to show you here. Okay, so this is an arrangement that's pretty feasible. Now, again, I'm not saying that in the lechatchila business you should do this. You should really avoid being open on Shabbos. And the place don't advise getting into this type of partnership. Sometimes it's impossible to avoid it. Okay. Now, this works out pretty well, and it could be. This is not a terrible eitzah. The problem is that most people don't realize that they have a problem until after they're already in the partnership. They're in the partnership. Now there's a great business opportunity. Wow, let's go in and you have your partner, and your partner is a non-Jewish guy, and then you have it, and then it comes the first Shabbos. Like, one second, my business, we're staying open Shabbos. 1 second, I have to close. No, I'm not closing. And basically, invariably, or the person has a business and he has to go to a shir. They talk about not being open on Shabbos. Like, 1 second, my business is open on Shabbos. But go, that doesn't help. So the problem starts when before the problem starts when you didn't realize until after the fact. Okay. Now, before we do that, about your issue, so I'll show you just an example of what we wrote for somebody. This was somebody. I blanked out his name because I'm sure he doesn't care. Wouldn't mind, but I just blanked out his name anyway. But this is a contract we wrote for. I don't think you can reach passing it back. For somebody that was going into this, it's pretty basic, but besides this, sorry, yeah, this is one page. The next page is something else. So this case was a case where it was here. This is the one they have over there. This was a case that there was 10 partners in the business, 8 of whom were Jewish, and 2 were Goyim. So the Goyim owned about 25%, let's say 20% of the business. Okay.
The Goyim owned?
Yeah, but no, because it was a real partnership it was like eight. It was a big corporation, and the corporation was owned by 8 Jews and 10 non-Jews. Okay. Now listen. Now what happened is that if you count Shabbos, how many days is Shabbos in the year?
52.
52. How many Yomim Tovim are there? So there's also another.
All depends.
Whatever. So that's 70 days total that you should stay closed on Shabbos. And once you're going to do it, just do it for Chol Moed also. That's why not. So you have, let's say, Rosh Hashanah 2 days, Yom Kippur 1 day. Sukkot is 8 days, so it's 11. Pesach 8 days, 19. Shavuos 20. So 21 days plus 50 Shabbosim. So that's 70 days in the year. So 70 days is what percentage of 360?
20%.
About 20%. So it worked out very good in this particular case. The Goyim Taka owned 20% of the business. And we gave, so the way now this guy was smart enough to set it up before he started the business. So the way they set it up is your 20% that you own in the business is going to be the Shabbos and Yom Tov part. And we're going to own the rest of the days. That's how they set it up. Now, owning the business means everything. And technically speaking, that means that the owner of the business on Shabbos should be allowed to fire their employees. So you have to put in there, you can do whatever you want, but you can't do something that will affect the business for the other days, or you can't do it without our agreement. So technically they have the ability to fire, right? Fire their employees. The people that, so this addresses both parts. This addresses, first of all, that the workers, employees are working for the non-Jew, and that the profit goes to the non-Jew. And the problem is that you go tell the non-Jewish partner, you're getting Shabbos and Sunday. Well, it's a Shabbos, you're getting Shabbos and Yom Tovim. But he's going to say, like, I don't know, Shabbos is a weekday in this industry. I don't want Shabbos. I don't want the weekends or something like that. So here's what we wrote. So we wrote the 2 people. These are the names of the Goyim. So that I didn't bother changing because I figured, I don't know how many people know these guys. So it says in the Sabbath and Jewish holiday paragraph, it says, Shabbos and Jewish holidays, the whole place of the business belongs to the Goyim. They may decide on their own to open the business as they please. All employees who are working on Shabbos and Jewish holidays are working for them. The whole expense and earnings of the Shabbos and Jewish holidays belong to the Goyim. Mr. Pliny and those he is representing are the owners of the others of the week. The rights to the profits generated by the companies the rest of the week and the non-Jewish holidays. The duties of the non-Jews are to take care of the responsibilities of business during Shabbos and Jewish holidays, which begin 2 hours before, 2 hours after, etc. However, the non-Jews cannot do anything in the facility without the permission of Pliny, of the same rights, etc. Now, compensation is like this. If they choose, they may forego an accounting of the profits from their share in the business and demand a settlement fee of 20%. So essentially what they're saying is we're going to end up with 20%. Because if we choose not to go through the accounting of what came in on Shabbos and Yom Tov, we're just gonna get 20%. So there's still 20% profit owner shareholders basically in the business. So nothing really changes from them if they choose. Now, there's more, you could write a lot more than this. This is extremely basic. Okay? And we said we did a Kinyan Sudar, and this is binding, etc. So this is very, very basic, this star, but it basically does the trick because it's essentially saying that before you start the business, this is how you're splitting up, and it worked out very well here because the Shabbos and Jewish holidays were pretty close to the 20% that they actually owned. Okay, the tricky part is when you're bringing in a guy off the street, you know, it's all Jews in the business, and you have to keep it open on Shabbos. So you're getting a phantom goyish shutif. That's when it gets tricky, but that's not so, you know, ideal. Anyway, so
20% was their percentage, or
they were 20%.
Reduced the same 20%.
They kept it 20%. It happened to be it was relatively close to the amount of days that they owned in the business. So,
But if it wasn't, they said, you know, we're not gonna go through this cash flow, we'll just stay the way it was.
if they would, right, correct, exactly.
I'm
That's
saying,
basically what
like,
they're
you know,
saying.
This and just a regular agreements, like
Right,
saying.
they have the whole partnership agreement, and then they have this as an addendum.
And then at their own expense.
Right,
It's not their own expense, the company's expense, what do they care?
Right.
How you want to do it. So
Right,
not the
right,
extra
right.
words, at their expense, that's another
Right,
reason.
right, unless the Shabbos and Yom Tov, because it's a little bit less than 20% of the year, yeah.
I'm saying that's perfectly fine.
Right,
But
right,
that would
correct,
encourage them not to do that.
right, correct, you could put that in there.
Shouldn't it make a difference where the income of the business and the profits are?
Well, theoretically, it does, that's why you're trying to just avoid that, you don't want to get too complicated. So therefore, you're trying to encourage them to say, look, you're not gonna lose anything by doing this, but technically speaking, the workers are working for you, and if there's a problem in the business on Shabbos, it's your problem. Now, technically, if let's say, you know, if you're really gonna get very technical, you could start adding things in, like, let's say there's damage to let's say a hurricane hits on Shabbos, so, you know, so obviously anything to do with the Karen that's gonna affect you know, is gonna be affecting both parties, so more or less, this really does address the issues. Now, the problem is, Chazal say you can only do this before you set up the business. Once the business is set up, you can't do this anymore. Why can't now? The question is why not? Why don't you just look? Listen, we own the business. Yeah, but here's the pshat. He says, pshat, why? We own the business together. I just went to a shir. I heard there's a problem. Let's just make up now. I'll work on Sunday. You work on Shabbos, okay? So the problem is since in the business agreement, it's your responsibility to work on Shabbos, to be involved on Shabbos. By him saying, "I'll do it for you," he himself is your shliach, because it's your business for Shabbos. You should be running the business on Shabbos. So anyone that's running it is running it on your behalf. Over here, what you did is you set up the business in a way that you were never responsible for Shabbos to begin with. Shabbos was not my part of it, but if Shabbos is my responsibility and my business and everything going on there is on, so I told the partner, you know, you take over what's my achrayus, that itself is a shlichus. That itself is a problem. You can't go in after the fact and say, well, you own Shabbos. What you would have to do is dissolve the whole partnership and redo it. And I was going to do that. So you can't now come in afterwards and say, well, let's just say that you get Shabbos, I get Sunday. It's too late because you already own the business for Shabbos. Since you own the business for Shabbos, essentially what you're doing is you're asking him, be my shliach to take care of Shabbos, and I'll be your shliach to take care of Sunday. So you can't do that. So now that's the big problem. So what do you do? What do you do with that? So I'm not sure if you could tell the guy on the phone. You call him up and say, look, as far as I'm concerned, I want to close the business on Shabbos. Do you agree? So if the guy says yes, so close. If the guy more likely says no, so you say, fine, look, you could stay open and keep the money. But then the problem is you're not getting anything in return. See, if you set it up before, you say you get all of Shabbos, I get all of Sunday. That works. But if you do it after the fact, you just have to give up Shabbos. You can't take Sunday in return for that. You can't tell the guy, look, as far as I'm concerned, Shabbos is closed. You take Shabbos. By the way, do you mind giving me Sunday? Why in the world would he give you Sunday? I mean, basically what you're saying is keep the business open Shabbos for me, and I'll keep the business open Shabbos for you. You can't do that. So after the fact, you lose out this option, which makes it very problematic. It means you basically have to let him decide to stay open Shabbos on his own or not. But then you can't, Lamaisa, come after the fact and say, okay, we end up at 50-50. It's not going to end up 50-50. You're going to end up 50-50 of the 60, and Shabbos he's going to have to take. So therefore, after the fact is a big problem. Okay? So we had one case. There's someone that moved here, and they opened up a retail store in the mall. And also they had non-Jewish partners. Or maybe there wasn't non-Jewish partners. I'm not sure if these people were I think these people that they were leasing it to were employees. They weren't partners. So the way we structured it was that we say the non-Jews are leasing the business from you on Shabbos. You're not giving up. So this way what happens is you're not giving up the income because you're getting income from the rent. So they're leasing the business from you on Shabbos. So if I have a business that's running, I could tell someone, look, you take over the whole business and pay me for the rights that I'm giving you to take over the business. But now, now you're running the business. You hire the employees. You take the profits. So imagine, let's say there's a business that makes $10,000 a week. So I'll lease it to someone. I'll say, look, pay me $8,000, pay me $9,000 up front. You run the business. Opportunity. You could go ahead and make $10,000 on it. But the guy's running the business on his own. So essentially what you do, you lease out the business to the non-Jew after the fact for Shabbos and Yom Tov. And what you do is you basically evaluate we'll see what we did here. But basically you could do it in one of two ways. You could either evaluate that the price that they owe you is the equivalent of the money that you expect to make on Shabbos, so you won't lose. Let's say you have a retail store that makes it makes $5,000 every shop. You make $10,000 every Saturday. So what you do is you lease it out for $40,000 on each Shabbos. So then they're paying you the same equivalent of what the profits are. Okay, but that requires a certain amount of calculation. So you see what we did over here to address this. Here. So this lease agreement is for a business. This lease agreement is for somebody that's in a partnership with a non-Jew, and he didn't do the other one because he woke up too late. This guy. This guy already has the business open and then realized, hey, I'm going to stay open Shabbos. So their retail store was in Aventura Mall, and Sawgrass was in a few places. So we hereby enter into a lease agreement of our share in the above mentioned businesses to the leasees. In other words, the non-Jews who are going to lease the business. I think they were employees in the business. Okay, so here it is. So it says it's made on this date between the lessor and the leasee. The lessor hereby leases the company to the leasee for the following terms: each and every Friday from 1/2 hour before sundown to that Saturday 1 hour and 30 minutes after sundown. Going over being a time over here, and the Jewish holidays of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuos. Again, same thing. The terms of this lease shall be 12 months from the above date, and leasee shall pay in the full commencement of the term $1,000 per day for each day that the leasee is leasing the term. Okay. Now, they made a $10 down payment. Now, since leasee does not have the funds for the full payment, these employees don't have the $12,000 to lease it out for the year. So I'm willing, b'toivas libi, to make an arrangement with them. What's the arrangement? To consider it at an interest rate, these are non-Jews, so interest rate of $12,000, 12%, fine. At leasee's discretion, they may require an assessment of the profits and losses for each day that the business is leased, revenue reduced by expenses, the lease payment, and interest on the lease payment. So in other words, they can make the cheshbon at their expense. I think it says that here. What?
You need another
Right. So they could choose to do that. they would just owe me $12,000 at 12% interest, and then they would choose to pay that, and they would get in return all the profits from those days.
Rabbi, this akin to these going outside from the company, or they actually work?
They're employees.
They're employees of the company.
Yeah, but they're
As
not.
opposed to just some.
Yeah, but they're not partners though.
Right, I understand, they're employees.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant that they're employees. Why is that important?
No, I'm saying, it's not that it's important, it's relevant, just to understand. the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah. But they're not.
Exactly.
The important point is that they're not partners.
Right.
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 Now, the second choice is it could demand a settlement payment of $5 per day for every day that the business is leased in lieu of profits for each day. Then you know what? So just give me $5. This is okay. And leasee hereby trusts the lessor by lessor's word alone as to the accuracy of any assessment from loan. If 24 hours go by and they don't ask for the calculation, we're going to assume that they chose the second choice, which is basically $350 per year. Okay. Now,
Totally.
right now, should the company fail to generate a net profit in the amount equal to the lease payment plus any interest due to the purchase payment, the lessor agrees to forego the obligation of such payment. So I don't understand. One thing I don't understand is if they choose the $350, are they also they don't have to pay the rent, obviously. They don't have to lease. That's the point of B, right?
Right.
Hey, that's so clear.
But really also, they have to demand a $350, that's how it should be written, that not that you have to go to them and say, here's your $350, right.
Okay, fine, right. I mean, we
So
wrote
that-
this. It was an Erev Shabbos. The guy called us.
This-
We had- No, this is a couple years ago, but I had to like put this together very quickly.
Rabbi, from a derech eretz standpoint, so most contracts, you cannot sublease. So he's doing like a sublease.
Well, it's
Right.
his company.
No, but he's leasing it. No, but
No, it's his company, and he's leasing to the employee.
No, what he's saying though is that if this is in a mall, that means he's already leasing it from the mall. The mall has
Exactly.
the regulations, the mall does not, within the lease you have with the mall, says you can't sublease your
Exactly.
store.
Okay, but that's true with chametz on also. Chametz.
No, it's the chametz is yours.
No, but let's say you sell to the guy and you keep. There's a lot of times like that.
Outside wall, for example.
And these
You have to stay open.
Exactly.
That's why they couldn't. That
Because you can't
this store was in
sublease.
Aventura Mall. That was the problem.
But it says you can't sublease.
Right, and there's, and there's.
It says that's what it says.
Okay, but I don't know. When you sublease, you
Except from a derech eretz
No,
standpoint.
but that means I think what they're trying to say is that I'm an investor here and I'm gonna lease it and then I'm gonna sublease it to a different business. This is the same business, it's the same store, and I'm just
A partnership would be allowed.
But
Sublease-
the other issue is if you had a partner that was a guy who, but he's now dealing with the employees, his chayla in the business, right? So then again, you would have the issue with the operating agreement where the other side says, look, you just can't sell your shares to somebody else, which is what effectively he's doing.
no, but this business was all owned by Yid.
Right.
There were
So I'm
5
just
Jewish
saying that
partners
it
here.
becomes a little complicated.
No, if there's a non-Jew, then you would do this with him, probably.
Again, after the fact, you can't. So
You would have to do the lease with him. You would have to say, with the partner, you would let him lease out your portion. So now, et cetera, you read the terms, but basically the point ends up being that at the end of the day, I mean, I don't wanna underline this, but the point is, at the end of the day, you're basically gonna give the guy $350 for signing the contract and then move on with life as regular. That's really what's going on over here. I mean, and what's gonna end up happening. Halachically, technically, he is permitted to demand an accounting at his own expense, that should be put in there, and demand an accounting, and
It's
he
not
could.
addressed in there, and it's- it could be, it's just-
The only thing I don't see at
You don't
2,
have in terms of controlling what the employees can do during that too.
right?
In terms of.
Well, it says here, due to lessor's fear, the leasing may depreciate the value of the business, thereby causing lessor to be unable to collect the amount. So it says leasing may not do anything in the business without lessor's permission. It says that, they're like 10 lines from the bottom. It does say that.
So
Now, the only thing I didn't understand, now I'm reading it again, is in option number 2, where does it say clearly that if they choose this, then they don't have to pay the It doesn't make sense. The point of this being is that they don't have the $12,000 with interest to pay, right? And that's essentially the point. So, is that clearly addressed? Anyway, so right now, a guy called me up on Friday that he went into a partnership with a non-Jewish guy, and they own retail store. So it's Friday, 4:00. What should I do?
They went before the setting of the business, already set up.
No. He has a business already.
Okay.
So now, what should I do? It's Friday, 4:00. What?
Charge them double. Because it's urgent.
What? I mean,
I'm saying for the silent.
oh yeah. So the only thing is that you can, so the only thing I told him is that is the choice. I said, so call up the guy and say, look, I want to close tomorrow. As far as I'm concerned, we're closed. If you want to stay open, it's your problem, and you keep the money. I'm not interested. He said, well, how am I gonna know? He said, if you choose not to do the accounting, it's complicated. I'll pay you. I'll give you, from the total accounting of the profits at the end of the month, I'll give you $500 or whatever number you make up. No, I don't know. Well, you're not being mocked at him anything, really. I don't know, maybe you should do a kinyan sudar with him and all that. But at the end, he's not your shliach and keeping the business open, because as far as you're concerned, you're letting him have the profits. Obviously, you have to do a shtar properly and take care of it. But it's 4:00 on Friday. I don't know what eitzah there is for that guy.
I had an account with one of my businesses where I had a property.
It was before,
Not
probably.
corporate, but-
It was before you went into it, probably.
Right.
Okay.
But what was complicated is because my partner was a Rabbi who was not going to do this on Shabbos setup, so my half of it. But the way similar to the first one was simply that at the end of the day, for Shabbos Yom Tov, say you keep all the profits. It's all everything is yours, but the amount I'm charging you for the lease equals
Right.
the entire
Right.
profits. But if you don't,
But-
and
right.
again, if you don't want to make any calculations.
That's what I'm saying.
If you come to me and demand, you don't get $1,000. So their upside was $1,000 at the end of the year.
That's what we're saying, right?
Right.
If you have a copy of that, can you send it to me?
Yeah, but what if the company is losing
You
money?
can erase the names. I'm just saying, but what?
Raise my hand.
I'm saying you can do whatever.
So what if the company is losing money, not making money? He wants to keep it open because they're gonna lose more money. So it's like saying, well, no, you keep the losses, like the company's losing money,
Okay. And you gotta,
you understand, like.
okay. And then this is the, obviously, I just want to reiterate, the Musach Hatchila is to close your business down on Shabbos when possible. These are scenarios that it's either impossible or for whatever reason you need to, but if possible, that's obviously always the best. And Bechlal, Chazal definitely frowned upon doing a shutfus with a guy. It's better not to get into that type of relationship with a non-Jew in general. So, but we're just talking about eights had a, from a halachic perspective.
So for example, whatever that business to stay open, inspect, see that person,
Like a liquor store or something like that.
whatever it is, so how does that want?
So I guess in the lease, you're leasing out, I don't know. Can you lease out the license? I mean, can that,
That business requires your licensure to be on 24/7. Or alcohol, whatever it is, on Shabbos, if you're not in ownership.
can you lease out some sort of,
There's a lot of, things that we're not addressing within, once we do these things, without looking at operating agreements, without looking at lease agreements, without looking at licensing agreements, and it seems that in all these, they don't take those into consideration.
right, this works within, right, this works within the operating agreement as an addendum to it, and whatever's needed, however whatever it's called, expression. Wherever, yes,
I
that,
think what he's saying is that the lease agreement, for instance, with the mall may preclude you from subleasing.
Right, that's, it was brought up, and it was, is this possible to do when you're, yeah, but every tenant on Pesach has that, has that
Even
question.
financing of the company, there's a lot of different things that are not looked at that good. Again, if you're violating the law, you can just say, okay, good, I'm violating, you can come after me, I'm willing to take that risk, that's the way I
Right.
view it, that, you're right, it's not the license, this and that, it's a risk that I have a right to take, it's not like you're gonna arrest me, you're just gonna come and mud me and say, how dare you, I'm warning you, if you do it again, we're going to cancel this, okay, so I therefore take that risk and, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Problem.
Okay, fine. Shkoyach Rabbi Isaac Sivach Simateva, good next year, and yeah, Mr. Chairman.
No, let me ask you a question. So, for example, remember when
Oh,
we-
I'm not, I have a wedding, I forgot.
Oh, who's